He separates. He's to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Florida State. Warwick got a third down.
Winky looking Winky. Wants to throw the knockout punch to Warwick. Warwick open. Touchdown. He does a touchdown. He did catch it. Touchdown, Florida State. Oh, Peter Warwick, how'd you do that?
Kermit Whitfield to the left side. A hole to the 30. Kermit Whitfield to the 30, to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown up the zone. Kermit Whitfield, a 100-yard touchdown.
Here's the snap. Winston rolling right. Throws the pass on the other.
It's caught. It's caught. It's caught.
For the end zone battle. Coleman. Touchdown.
We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Garden and Old Show, Miami Hate Week, Vince.
It is Miami Hate Week. Ryan, you and I haven't been together for a little while. I know last week I had some work stuff to do, and I know this past weekend you're doing the big move, the thing no one wants to do ever.
Yeah, the schedule wasn't scheduling.
No, but I'm happy to be back here Thursday night on a Miami week. There's just, man, even not being in Tallahassee, I feel it. I can feel it.
Vince, I know you're not going to be at the game, and neither am I this week. We're still going to do what I'm going to do is call in from the road because I'll have a moving truck, but I'm going to try to join from the road since it's a rivalry game. I think we'll do our pregame, Vince, maybe in the morning, possibly, and then our postgame, I'll do it. We'll call in from the car, but 3:30 game, not college game day, not 7 o'clock. Miami, I think, caused that with their embarrassing 6 points scored last week. I wish we had been game day.
Yeah, me too. I think doing a pregame show early in the day is good because the reason that I'm not going to the Miami game, and this is part of the house cleaning part here, is I was planning to go, but I have some friends that are getting married and can't miss the friend's wedding. So it's better for us to do the pregame show before that wedding stuff goes on. Miami really screwed this up, Ryan. They had to do was win probably one more game, and the Miami game would have been an even game. But they didn't do that. So now we got a 3:30 game. I've had to unload my tickets and my parking pass, which I have done. So we'll do the pregame show early in the day.
Did you get a fair market value for those tickets?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, premium. Everyone wants to see the Noles right now. That's the good thing about if you do have season tickets like you and I. When you do go to sell them this year, it's been pretty good resale value.
Yeah, you know what's been interesting about that is the parking passes themselves have been. Oh man, it's unbelievable how much people are going to pay for spots. I did not gouge. I did the right thing. I had some friends that were looking for some stuff, and I made a fair market value for that.
You know who didn't have to pay for a spot? It's Florida State in the spot in the playoff rankings this week, coming in at number 4.
Were you worried about that, Ryan?
Not this week, no.
No,
I was worried the first week.
Yeah, I wasn't worried this week either, and mostly because it's not like any of the teams that were vying had stellar games.
Yeah, and this thing's about to blow up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you have so many teams playing each other, really good games over the next 3 weeks that, Michigan playing Ohio State. Who knows if Michigan will even be in the postseason with the investigations going on right now? We have no idea. And then the Pac, you got all kinds of matchups coming up in the next 3 weeks. Like Washington doesn't have a guaranteed road to be undefeated.
Not at all. And as a matter of fact, the way Oregon's playing right now, when that rematch happens, I'd probably pick Oregon to win that game.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But I mean, we didn't get to watch Vince, the game together last week at Pitt. So
you were on the road most of the time, right? So
I had YouTube TV audio like through my car like the last half. But I couldn't watch any of it. But I got the feel, because it's one of those things that the second I found out while I was at a gas station that Keon Coleman was out and Johnny Wilson was still out, and like Hakeem Williams and Deuce Spann. I was like, well, that's not good. And I just got in the car and I was like, hopefully this is okay. And for a little bit, it was not. Even though Jordan put up some numbers, Vince, I keep saying it. I said at the beginning of the year, I said at some point this year, Ja'Kai Douglas would be absolutely needed, and we were like, hopefully not. But man, you got to give the guy credit.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to have a big game like that, you would hope it would just be in the context of a normal thing. But he was pressed into action because of really, if you think about it, just a cluster of injuries in a certain segment group that it's just unbelievable. And when you texted me and said Keon's out ?
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan doesn't know what's about to transpire here. During the pregame show, one of our subscribers commented saying, "Hey, I've heard Keon is out," and I hadn't heard that yet. And so that turned out to be the case, and we needed everybody to step up. You saw Vandrevius Jacobs get in on a few plays. Kentron, people have said he's probably still hurt too, so he didn't look right. It was an interesting game, and thank God the coaches took the time to address needs in the portal because the tight ends came up big.
They sure did. No, and listen, do I believe that if we were playing Miami this past week that Johnny Wilson probably would have played? I think so. Even with all those injuries, I think they knew that Johnny Wilson, if in a pinch, in an emergency situation, could go. But I think they were thinking, man, we got to have people healthy for the Miami game and the Florida game. And I think that's what the thought process was there. So I think it was a cautionary holdout on the Johnny Wilson part. But Jordan Travis had a heck of a game. And the whole game, listening to it, and then later I watched it, I was never worried because we did so good at keeping them from moving the ball. I mean, the defense was dominant the whole game.
Yeah, they were, and it's not like we weren't moving the ball. So at some point, the cracks are going to break and points are going to get scored, and that's what happened. And it was looking a little dicey there on that big play they hit, and then Ventrell out of nowhere comes in and pokes that ball out. I mean, that's an important play.
Yeah.
And then this team does what they do. They go on a run, and they went on a 24-point run. And that's it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the old Spurs team in like the early aughts, like 2005, 6, 7, 8, when it was like Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan and all those guys, because that's what they would do when they got to the playoffs. They would have games where they were non-existent for a quarter or two, a period or two, and then out of nowhere, it would be like 40 points. And then the game was over. And I think that's what this team is. I mean, we're so far in the season. How could they not be that? We know who this team is. What's interesting about this is if you were to ask the casual fan, who's the better undefeated team at this point, 2014 Knowles or this year? Most people casually would say 2014. But those games were nail biters every single week. And we haven't really – I mean, Vince, the only true nail-biter game we've had two was Georgia Tech and Clemson. Everything else has been well in hand the whole year.
Boston College, I mean.
Boston College, sorry. Yeah. And what's funny enough, those are back-to-back games, right, BC and Clemson. And all the other games have been well in control by the end of the third quarter where we were like, okay, the game's over.
Yeah, when you were kind of likening this to a basketball team, it reminds me, I'm going to date myself here, but there was a basketball game that came out, a video game that came out, like an upright game back in the day. Mm-hmm. And you'd go into the arcade and you'd play it. And then at some point, your guy would just start shooting and the nets would catch on fire. And the guy in the video game would say, "En fuego." And then you couldn't miss.
That's NBA Jam, Vince.
That was, I think it was before NBA Jam. I think
Yeah.
there was a game that did that, and it might have been called Double Dribble or something like that. I can't remember.
But that's exactly what this team is.
It's exactly what this team is. Once they find something, it is they click, they can score a bunch of points in a hurry.
Mhm.
And not a lot of teams have that kind of gear. The question is, I don't think the question is, do they find it? I think that we're pretty confident that they find it most games, right?
Yeah.
The question is when they find it.
What's funny is this week, I think Johnny will play and Keon will still not, is my feeling. I don't think Keon Coleman or Destin Hill are the two I'm concerned about. Now, we know Johnny Wilson has been practicing full speed this week, so we know that for a fact. Keon has been practicing, but we haven't heard, is it full speed? And then what I've heard from multiple sites that Destin Hill is not to full speed and probably won't be running until the Florida game. So Destin Hill, I'm not worried about being without him because Chikai fits nicely when he's out. I mean, what a great backup of a backup to have, right? Ja'Kai Douglas and Jordan. We saw how much Jordan trusted him. He trusts him implicitly, but just having Johnny Wilson back at this game coming up, I think is going to be enough because I really believe it's, and I picked Miami to lose last week, and they sure did. They are the team that will beat their chest for the first quarter when it's 7-7 at the end of one. And then when it's 21-7, they just fall to pieces and the rest of the game is over. That's what this has to be in order for Florida State to really win this game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, let's save the Miami preview for a little
sure.
bit.
I'm not going.
You're trying to jump ahead. But yeah, as far as injuries are concerned, we don't necessarily know, and they have their own injury things that they have to concern themselves with this week. But the house cleaning part of this, I just want to make sure we got a chance to clean up the Pitt game and make sure we both feel good about that game, and also to make sure everybody knows that neither one of us are going to be at the game this weekend. So.
Yeah. What's ironic, Vince, is I felt better at the end of that game last week than I did about half of our other games that we won by more this year because I know when the offense is healthy, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's not a question. But the defense, man, this last 4 or 5 game stretch, I mean, what is our average holding people to? It's got to be low.
I don't know, but I mean, especially in the second half, they've really put the clamps down. And I'm not naive. I also know that the teams that we've played have not been juggernaut on the offensive side of the ball. I get that too. And Miami this week as well. I mean, they're struggling, and mostly because of injuries at the most important position on the field.
I mean, is TBD for sure out?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. If he's
I wouldn't
out,
put him out there.
All right, hold on. We're going to save that. Let's save all that.
Vince, I didn't review your banners here, but look, the recruiting weekend is big. I think there's 30 kids that are going to be in town.
There's hundreds.
Crazy.
There's hundreds of recruits.
No, but I'm talking 30 that we actually probably could have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, there are going to be hundreds of recruits there. There's probably a good 30 to 50 that are maybe the focus. And for those of you that pay attention to those kind of things, we're wrapping up the 2024 class, right? Yeah. Signing day is in December, and most people's classes are kind of wrapped up by now. But there are some big fish still out there, and a couple of those big fish are non-committed, like they're not committed to anybody yet. But there are also a couple of them out there that are committed to other schools that aren't doing so well.
Yeah.
And so there's the possibility other Florida schools, and Ohio State, even though a wide receiver who is, some people say generational.
Yeah.
Now Ohio State is playing well, but yeah. So it's a big weekend, and they purposefully do it on this weekend because they know the crowd is going to be insane, right?
Yeah.
They probably preferred it to be a night game, but the crowd is going to be insane, and I think the team is going to put on a good show.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think when it comes to the recruiting and then scheduling it this weekend, Vince, what a great choice, because I don't know about you, but this is true for me. So I can imagine it's pretty true for the average fan out there. This is the first real week that I'm allowing myself to not just hope, but believe this. Oh, we're going to, like, the reality of the undefeated season at hand. And it's a weight. It's a weight on the shoulders a little bit as a fan, because you're like, 4 games ago, I was like, yeah, I think they could, but I didn't know. And now you kind of look at the rest of the schedule and you see Florida and all that, and definitely North Alabama is going to be, done deal. So you're thinking to yourself, man, if we win this coming one, like, so the audience at this week's game, the crowd, I'm sure feels the same way. They feel the sense that you win this one, you're guaranteed to win the week after. And we're 1 game away from an undefeated season, which is 93, 99, and 2013 and 14 are the only times that we've done that.
Yeah.
And so, and here's the thing. When Doak has a sense of excitement because we're that close, it just escalates it up a notch. Now, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock game would have helped even more.
There's more alcohol flowing at that point.
There's more alcohol flowing, but based on how my tickets sold for that game and how your tickets sold for that game, the parking passes, it's kind of like Surge Hotel or DoorDash pricing or something. Is like, when the ticket prices are that high, the demand and the ravenous fan base is ready, and they only have 2 more games to go to a home game this year. So those recruits are in for a treat, I think, as far as the crowd goes.
Yeah, I think so too. And if the game goes the home team's way, it'll be even better, because the crowd will stay till the very end, and the war chant will be going until the very end, and then there'll be a massive party after the game. So, there's, when you're talking about an undefeated season, anybody that went into this season, predicting an undefeated season is really just hoping.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody out there in their heart of hearts thought that this would be that kind of year.
Yeah,
I think we'd
10
all
or 11
successful.
wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm not counting chickens. I don't do that. But the closer you get to that end goal, the higher the percentages of you doing it. And so I'm feeling it a little bit, but this is a big hurdle we got to get over. I don't care how bad Miami's down. Rivalries are always tough. And weird things happen in those kind of games. So,
Vince, are you going to be doing the cell phone peek under the table at the wedding?
I don't have to do that. The people that we were going to the wedding for already understand that they've chosen to have a wedding in the fall. But
Perfect.
actually, to be honest with you, all the wedding stuff is probably going to be pretty much done by the time the game starts.
Yeah, so you just won't be at Doak, but you'll be able to watch it.
Right. Yeah, because I can't, by the time we would get there, it would be halftime. So, but anyway, so yeah, massive recruiting weekend. If you are going to the game this weekend, yeah, you're in for a treat. And, find some fellow Knowles to hang out with and just enjoy the weather, enjoy being around your fellow Knowles.
Yeah, dance to the war chant.
Dance to the war chant. We got a long comment in here about
Is that Z-Chan?
No, it's not. It's Kirk Tony here. Yes, this is all true.
Yes, he corrected me. You are right. I was getting ahead of myself. Now, to be frank, I was 6 years old. So
Roger that. So we've only had a couple of undefeated seasons, 1999 and 2013, and the stats
now,
are true here, Kirk.
You would have to count 2014 as an undefeated season because the playoffs are outside
regular season. I got you,
yeah.
But we were talking about if, at the end of the year, if you have a 0 in the loss column, that's undefeated. in my opinion.
I disagree.
You can disagree. That would make what you stated to be a fact.
That would make UCF national champions. That kind of logic.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Just because you
I-
have a 0 doesn't mean you win any kind of trophies.
Yeah, I asked Auburn in 2003.
Oh,
What do we
boy.
got going on here?
If you're familiar with this acronym, you are a true Seminole.
Mm.
Let's just say that the M's refer to Miami and the F's do not refer to
Yeah.
Miami.
You can say it, Vince. I was hoping I would get you to say it.
No, I'm not going to say it because there might be at some point some kids listening to this. But
You know who would say it? The Garnet and Goldfish.
the Garnet and Goldfish would say this.
He made the trip to Pitt, Vince. Did you
He
see?
did. Coach Norvell has held the Goldfish.
Mm.
Now we can argue whether that's the same Goldfish
It
every
has to
year
be.
or
I think-
every week.
I think they might have been blessed by the Seminole tribe of Florida in some ceremony, and I believe
Yeah.
it's the same one. Yeah. I mean, how could it not be? I mean, you can't just replace goldfish. It's too easy.
So back in 1993, there was a pent-up frustration with this team. Miami had beaten us 2 years in a row on some kicks that did not go through the goalposts. And, Charlie Ward was kind of running the show. And, this is one of those things where you had to get the monkey off your back in order to climb and, get the trophy. And that was the first that I'm aware of. That is the first time that the Marching Chiefs gathered the Friday night before the game, started doing a campus crawl and playing throughout the campus. During that time, a chant started, and the chant may have started before that. I'm just saying this is how I remember it. So if I'm wrong about this, you can call me out on it. A chant started, which followed the acronym you see there, and the Chiefs made up some audio to go with it. And so throughout that whole campus crawl, and ever since then, this chant has gone on, and there is some music that goes along with it. And as far as I know, that's when that started. So I may be wrong about that.
Yeah, I come from a slightly different era in which. So for those of you that wonder when my transferring from a kid like going with dad because he's a fan to like I'm my own fan and I follow it myself. My first wide left or wide right was Chris Ricks's season where he did the front flip and almost died into the end zone, and we missed a go away field goal. And then when I went to college, it was pretty cut and dry. My first college home game was an opener on Labor Day night against Florida State Miami, I believe in 07 or 08.
That the one that was like 9-6, some kind of.
It was the
crazy
one that
score?
was weather delayed because of a vicious lightning storm, and
yeah.
the student section did not evacuate the student section during said lightning storm, despite the calls to do so, and instead chanted F Miami for about 30 minutes straight while lightning was striking everywhere around us, including myself. So that was a good time.
It's, I would say that it's a friendly rivalry. I don't know if friendly would be the right term. It can get heated, and you don't get the heated rivalry with your friends with your actual friends that are fans, of that team. It's the randos. It's the randos that screw it up for everybody.
Yeah. Well, of course it's a rivalry. I mean, we have to play every year in the All Canes Conference, Vince.
We do, and somebody posted a graphic on Twitter yesterday or whatever with the records, right?
Yeah.
The Florida State has this many wins, Miami has this many wins. Florida State has this winning percentage, Miami has this one. This person picked out only the areas where Miami was leading, right?
Of course,
and ignored the other half of the stats that Florida State was leading, and he only believed that those stats were the ones that were important. 5 rangs.
You mean the ones on VHS?
Yeah. So, but that's the way the rivalry is, right? You're going to point out the things that your team is good at, and you're going to, ignore the team or the things that your rival is good at. So what is Miami good at this year?
Defensive line. That's about it. That's Restrepo is okay. I think
I think he's hurt.
He's a good receiver, but I think when you don't have a dynamic quarterback getting him the ball, it almost neutralizes that. Decent running back room, but really, I think the best part of their team is their defensive line and their kicker. Their kicker has made some very, very long kicks for them. So I don't want to set it up where we're like tied and they have to kick a field goal. I don't think that will happen. But their defensive line. So what that means, they're going to try to stop the run. They will probably be successful in stopping the run because we can't.
Most
run
people have.
Yeah, but it won't matter because if Keon and Johnny Wilson are out there, their coverage is not great. They have one good deep safety, and I heard, might be out for this game. So that would be fun.
Yeah. I think their secondary is banged up. I think they had 2 guys go out in the last game, and of course, Mario, first of all, is no different than any other coach. He's not going to tip his hand on who's available, who's not. Silly.
He's not even going to tip his hand on if he's going to try to get a last-minute field goal to win a game. He's going to take it to overtime. That's what he's going to do.
Well, maybe. But boy, you're all in today. I love it. But their secondary is, if they are banged up, you're going to have some guys that are very green going up against, provided our guys are healthy, a pretty talented group. Now, if you know the Florida State Miami history, some people that nobody knew their name before all of a sudden become household names because of this game.
Yeah.
So you never know. But they're definitely hurting. And part of the reason why they're hurting is a contrast to what some of our fans complain about. Miami has had to pretty much play their starters, their first team, for entire games, more than games, like overtimes, ever since like the second or third game of the season.
Yeah, close game.
Where we have been able to rotate people.
Yep.
And people would argue this, maybe hold people out for minor bumps and bruises in hopes of having fresh legs and not a lot of wear on the body getting to this point. So you look back on some of these games when people complaining about, Florida State rotating so much, like if we wouldn't have rotated, we would have hammered these teams even more. But now those fans should be happy because going into this game, hopefully, we have a much fresher team and we have a team that is that doesn't have as many snaps on the body.
Yeah, I think Mike Norvell, unlike people think that he's like, let's just get some scrubs out there in the games sometimes. But I'm like, no, these are the guys that he recruited, not got from the transfer portal, like most of the time. And I think he wants to prevent the possibility of people getting maybe frustrated and want to leave the program. So I think he's in a balancing act of performance with getting the most people on the field and the most involved in the team as possible. And to keep people engaged, what better way to keep people engaged than to put them in the game for meaningful snaps? So I think it's that. And I actually believe that if he's putting them in there during, real snaps, that he believes in the players. I mean, he believes that. I don't think he's sending out guys in there that he doesn't think they can play.
Well, I don't think he does either. And he has stated as such. He's not going to play anybody that he doesn't think is capable of executing in that moment. Now, that may be short moments, right? Mm-hmm. Certain scenarios, but he has a confidence that they're going to succeed in that. And he has feathered in really young guys throughout the year in very, when the game is when the game is still in play.
Yeah.
And that has helped us out a lot. And so if you're one of those fans, Kirk's here saying that rivalry wasn't friendly in the 90s and 80s. No, it definitely wasn't. If you're one of those fans that has kind of been on this side of like, man, why is he rotating so much? I think this weekend, if things go like we believe they will go, one of the reasons for that is because of that mentality.
I agree. I mean, you ready to get to the picks, Vince? How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm ready to get to the picks.
Are you feeling fresh, Vince? I mean, I do want to again state for the record that Big Daddy East last week made some bold predictions, and most, if not all, almost all, came completely true. Vince, I want to mention that for the record before we go into the pick'em.
I mean, I don't want to call you out on this, but when I went back and reviewed for our picks, maybe you have a different memory of what you picked. Do you want to go back and look at last week?
I know I picked Clemson.
Let's look at last week.
I picked Clemson.
You did.
I picked Miami to lose.
Yes.
Those were the ones I was the most upset that people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we both picked Virginia Tech, and that was a big no. Oh
yeah.
Are you gonna do the pick'em song? We're gonna do that.
Yeah, of course. I was waiting. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
You know, I never interrupt you ever on the show.
Ever.
All right, here we go. Pick'em time.
Yeah, sorry.
How'd you do at the tables last night?
I'm about even.
Here's an idea. Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
All right, now we are in the pick'em. Now, Vince, we already have punched our ticket to the ACC Championship, unlike most of the teams on this list. So good times in Tallahassee as we're rolling into Charlotte to conquer maybe one of the last few ACC championships we'll be even possibly involved with. But let's get started, Vince. You know, with this game, that's pretty interesting because Louisville has everything to lose and Virginia has nothing to lose. And so I'm going to go with the favorite. I think Louisville is a good team. I don't think they're great. I think when they play a real team, if they played us in the ACC championship, I think we would handle them. But give me Louisville, and I do think they will cover.
All right, that's fine. I'm going to go along with you on that. They are at home. They can score some points. And Virginia is pretty much god-awful. Louisville to cover.
Vince, many weeks ago, we thought Boston College was awful when we struggled with them. Well, now maybe, just
look
maybe.
At this, Ryan.
Cunningham, man, right? It's incredible. He's just playing well. So give me Boston College because the more times that they win, the better that close win looks for us.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
They will cover.
Well, they have to cover because they are not the favorite.
How is that possible?
Outright. They are going to win this game, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close, to be honest with you.
Vince, they were the underdog last week, and I didn't understand how that was possible.
I don't know either. Keep winning, Boston College.
All right, so I picked Clemson last week to win against Notre Dame, and they did. This week, I'm going with Georgia Tech, and with the upset win over Clemson.
Okay, you're trying to make up some ground here, I see.
No, I actually believe in Georgia Tech. I really do.
I do not believe in Georgia Tech. We're going to go Clemson, and we're going to no cover here.
Okay. So Wake Forest traveling to NC State. Give me NC State all day, and I think they'll cover.
Yeah, I've got an NC State cover here as well. It's actually at Wake Forest.
Yep.
I agree with you on that one. That is going to be a big snoozer game. So if you don't watch that one, that one might be on the CW.
Yeah, this next one, too, will probably be on the CW. Syracuse is at home against Pitt. Give me the Cuse, and I will pick them straight up. Let's go.
You picked Cuse last week, and that was a big no-no.
Yeah, but Pitt's no good either.
Yeah, Pitt's going to cover this game.
So to Vince, Pitt's 2 wins trumps Syracuse's 4 wins. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I believe in Pitt's ability to throw some defense at the Qs, and I believe Pitt will cover this.
Vince,
hey, hold on. It may be 3-0.
Yeah,
but they will cover.
Before we get into the Duke UNC game, Vince, do we know, is Duke's quarterback back?
I don't think so. But even if he was, I don't think he's 100%.
In that case, I'm going North Carolina big over Duke cover.
All right, and I've got UNC no cover here.
And then the Thundering Herd host Georgia Southern, Vince's daughter's school. Give me Georgia Southern to cover, and what a season! Going to 7-3 won't suck.
No, and you've got James Madison in that league, who's not allowed to participate in the conference title game or in the playoff or in postseason, because they've made the transition from FCS to FBS, and there's a 2-year window. Well, they are trying to petition the NCAA to allow them to do that, and I say nay, nay, nay. You sign the agreement, you hold to the agreement.
Now, Vince, I do have one area of concern with our pick'ems. Last week, I successfully picked games, and you were not on the Garden Old show. So, did you pre-make your picks?
If you look in the chat, because I was on my work event and I was in the chat as you were calling them out, you can see my picks in the chat.
Yeah, I was laptop only with no screens and no monitors, so I was not in producer mode much that night.
Yes,
but
I did it.
You have the records here?
I did it real time. So, do you want to go back and look at last week?
Yeah. Do you have our totals?
No, I don't have that.
Okay.
I don't have the totals done.
Okay, we'll cover those next week because I want to see how far getting crushed I am in this situation.
It's getting close.
All right, Vince, the big one, right? Florida State hosting Miami, 3:30 kick. I like Florida State a lot in this game, mainly because if I believe Miami will have to start their freshman quarterback for the second start of his career in a very hostile crowd, and I think we'll have enough receivers back to make a difference. Give me Florida State 42, Miami 14.
I would like that score. I think Tyler Van Dyke is going to play
the whole game.
But I think if things aren't going well early, it will not take very long for them to try something else.
Yeah.
But he's talented, man. If he comes out and things are going well and he gets some confidence, you never know, man. He has the ability. We've seen it. So I think it would be silly for them if he's physically able to at least not give it a shot. Emory Williams, yes, that's who I'm talking about. And then for me, for Florida State, I'm going to go a little bit. I don't think we're going to get to the 40 mark. I'm going to go 34-17.
So you're basically picking the actual, like almost the spread of the game, but the total points of the game. I think Vegas has it at like 52 point something. So you're pretty close to that.
I mean, with my not understanding where we are in terms of health on the receiver core, and understanding that Miami's defensive line is good, man. They've got a good defensive. That kind of limits my thought in terms of points. So if I knew Keon was fully healthy and Johnny was fully healthy, and if we had any semblance of a running game at all, I'd be in the 40s.
For sure.
But I just don't know. Mike Norvell, being as good a game day coach as he is, I think he's going to find a way to get to 30 points.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, hopefully we're celebrating on a 10-0 start for the Noles. Who would have thought? I mean, both of us had losses picked by this part of the season way long ago. We at the beginning of the season, we thought there would be some early loss or losses. So we're thrilled. It's Miami week, so which makes it super exciting. But Vince,
so Raj says, yeah. So Raj says nail on the head. Raj, I want to know which part you think is nail on the head, because I know you're a Miami fan through and through. So the question is, which part of this is nail on the head?
Yeah, maybe Sebastian has a nail on his head or something like that, or he stepped on a nail or something like that. I do love the Sebastian duck because it doesn't make any sense at all.
It's 28-22 us. Okay. Y'all might take it again this year, but on any given Saturday. You're right. Hey, Raj. TVD starting with a short lease. That's what he was getting at with nail on the head. if you watch any of their games, I got to imagine that the team is getting a little frustrated with Van Dyke kind of lackluster performance and I don't want to say giving the game away, but he's been turning the ball over a lot. So you got to think that the rest of the team is getting kind of tired of that.
Yeah. I would clap back at Raj's prediction, but I think I'll just take a knee on this one.
I'm expecting a little smile there from Raj here in a little bit. So one thing we do know, Ryan, is that this is a home game, so the Chiefs will be there.
Yeah, thank God.
And that is a good sign. Chiefs are part and parcel to it all. So I guess
and they always go to Gainesville, so they'll be in Gainesville too.
They will be in Gainesville too. Yeah. So coming back from after this game is done, or on Saturday, we're going to do a pregame show early. We probably won't do. You want to do a halftime? Probably not. We'll just do a post game.
Yeah, it might be a bit later in the afternoon or night.
Yeah, and then it's thinking about the next game, which I know, Ryan, you're going to be at.
Yeah, I did have unfortunate news. Our mutual friend Rachel will not be attending because of the 3:30 start time
for Miami.
For North Alabama, sorry, the late start time for North Alabama.
The late, yeah, the late start time. So, but if you are planning to be at the North Alabama game, Garnet and Old will be there in full effect. Back to the basics in the.
It'll be our largest tailgate, I promise, of the year. Because we have a lot of people with us.
And we'll have a lot of time to tailgate, which will be fun.
Yeah, and the weather, I already checked in, 79-degree high that day, looking like.
Okay. Can we get some weather in the 60s?
Not in Florida, apparently. And Vince, at this point, I'd settle for just daylight when I get home, to be honest with you.
Oh boy. But Ryan, I believe that this weekend is going to result.
Yeah, but we're going to win this game, and then most likely going to win this game, and then we're going to celebrate on Sunday. Great show, Vince. Great.
Yeah, it's been good.
One thing, send the Chiefs all the damn time. I know it will happen the rest of the year, but just wanted to put that out there. And go Noles to everyone. I know everyone will be hate watching this week except for Raj, who is a forever game fan. I respect that. But Vince, another Thursday night, another Garden Old. No inside info, no contacts, no problem.
Love you, Raj.
Have a great night, everyone, and go Noles.
Go Noles.